Good morning, Wedgwoodians. Good morning, visitors. Good morning, people who are joining us live and people who are joining us later in the day and later in the week. We are thrilled that you are all here at the community of Wedgwood. We have been discussing in community at Wedgwood for the past month. And today, LeDayne is here to take us beyond the doors of Wedgwood into the interfaith network of which we are a part. I find this is very appropriate to be discussing and talking about on the 9/11 week, how we come together, religions, cultures, to work together for the common good. So welcome, LeDayne. We are glad to have you here. And we begin every Sunday with our announcements, so I will turn it over to Liz.
Thank you, Melba. So we just have a few announcements and upcoming events this morning. This is a snapshot. If you want more detail on these events or other events that are happening locally, please make sure to check our newsletter. So next Sunday, September 19th, we have Dr. Jen Neitzel speaking on social justice work is holy work. She is the executive director of the Educational Equity Institute, which focuses on eliminating the educational opportunity gaps within communities through systems level change. We are so excited to hear her speak, and we know it's going to be a really wonderful talk. This is our fall schedule through the end of October. After next week on September 26th, Melba will be talking about Blessed Be. And then on October 3rd, we will have our Blessing of the Animals. I'm so excited. I've got my pictures ready of my kitty. And then on October 10th, we have Rabbi Rachel Smukler will be returning and speaking. So we're so excited to have her back. October 17th, still to be determined, but we'll keep you updated when we get that scheduled. And then October 24th is the same Sunday as the Pride Parade, and Raquel Buchanan is speaking, Raquel Buchanan, we can't wait to hear her speak. And then on Halloween, October 31st, the Representative Brandon Lofton will be speaking on the theme of All Saints Day, which is the next day.
Can I add one thing before we move on?
Sure.
On the Blessing of the Animals Day, you can certainly hold up pictures to share. You can email us pictures. If you don't have a pet currently and it's a pet you want us to remember, please feel free to share that too. If you do not have a pet, give this some thought. We have a lot of endangered species out there, animals that are endangered. Select one of those and we can bless those animals, whatever animal it may be. Our elephants, there are so many on that list. So send me a picture, share a picture, and your thoughts about concerns for our endangered species so that everyone can be involved. And if you have a squirrel that comes to your window every day and you snap a picture of it, share that too. Just our animal friends. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
So our community garden continues to thrive. Thank you so much for all the volunteers who come during the week to water and weed. Park Road Baptist Church has a wonderful community garden, and they have allowed us to have 2 plots, beds 13 and 14. We need folks to come during the week and water the beds and weed. As you can see, like we've been harvesting some things, which is very exciting. All food grown will goes to the community food pantry, and it's just really exciting to see the looks on folks' faces when, we hand them their bags of their dry and shelf stable goods, but then we also get to hand them a bag of vegetables. That's a big deal, and this garden makes it possible. So special thank you to Park Road Baptist Church, as well as all of our volunteers who make it possible. Wedgwood has a blog. I know some folks have reached out about contributing to the blog, which is very exciting. If you have a poem, story, or a message you'd like to share, if you want to share your story about how you ended up at Wedgwood, what being a Wedgwoodian means to you, we would love to publish it on the Wedgwood website. So if you're interested, you can send us an email or send me a private message for more information on how to get that published. On Thursday, September 16th, we have our next Social Justice Book Club meeting. They are reading the essays of Angela Davis. Please contact a book club member or the church for copies of those essays. And actually today at 6:30, our next MIOS meeting, Moving in One Spirit, it'll be at 6:30, and Dorothy's going to be speaking. Dorothy, do you want to say anything about the meeting today?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. Excuse me for not being on camera. I hope to see people tonight at our group MIOS. I think tonight will be very, very interesting. We had our group members were pretty interested in maybe being more in tune to angelic spirits around us that I believe are always around us, spirit guides, symbolisms through animals that visit us. And I thought tonight would be an amazing night, just how we can learn to techniques of what's called raising our frequencies. In other words, raising our thoughts to more maybe of a pure mindset, so we can be more confident that we are always covered by angels and loving spirits around us. And I hope to see everybody tonight. I think it'll be great.
I'm so excited to be there. I know it's going to be fabulous.
It's a good topic. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Dorothy. Then on Tuesday, September 21st at 6:30, our Social Justice Committee will be meeting. And then we actually had our last meeting for the Children and Youth Committee on the 7th. We will have another meeting at the beginning of October. We continue to partner with Project Outpour that is at First Christian Church on East Boulevard. They have free shower access for the homeless every Tuesday from 10 to 2. If you're interested in signing up for shifts to help out, the link is in the newsletter. And then we also have the Queen City Assisted Living Adopted Resident Program, which is run by Wedgwoodian Travis Friat. So if you're interested in participating in that, please reach out to Travis directly at the email listed. It's also in our newsletter. And then finally, our sandwich program. Yesterday, the Charlotte Atheists and Agnostics had their monthly distribution for September to the homeless at 9 a.m. in Uptown. The next monthly meeting will be the first Saturday in October. If you'd like to participate in that, please let us know, and we can give you the contact number of the person organizing it. Our food pantry continues to need donations. As you can see, we got some fabulous, like incredible donations from the Madison Park Gives last week. The thing is, that stuff goes so quickly. Most of the stuff that we received, it didn't even make it to the shelves. We put it straight into the bags. And we actually saw an increase last week we had 20 more families come last week than the week before. Benefits have recently ended or are getting ready to end. And we know the need's going to increase again. So anything that folks can give, either through donations of monetary donations or donations of the items listed, is going to make a huge impact, because people really need our help, and people need help in the community. We've been talking a lot about community, and this is one of the ways of participating and helping our community. So please consider participating in whatever way you can. Wedgwood needs your regular financial support. You can mail your offering to Wedgwood Community Church at the P.O. box listed. You can Venmo us, you can PayPal us, you can use Zelle. We are looking for a different text to give option because we were having so many problems with Banco. So we'll keep you updated if we find a new option. But for right now, we have these 4 options with the mailing, Venmo, PayPal, and Zelle as options available. But like I said, we'll keep you posted if we find another text to give option. But we still need folks' regular financial support to support the amazing work that we're doing in the community. And connect with us. So we are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we have our church website. You can also email us at wedgwood.church@yahoo.com. You can also give us a call. We are here if you need anything at all. We just want to make ourselves available. So please consider connecting with us. So some folks may not know who the church staff are at Wedgwood. So we have Melba, who gave our introduction this morning. Melba is our fabulous ministerial coordinator. I am Liz Shobe. I'm the community outreach coordinator. And Ashanti Munier is our music coordinator. And she blesses us with such amazing, amazing music each week. So if you want to get in contact with any of us, you can call us at this number or email us, and we will get back in touch with you. Friendly reminder that we have a newsletter. I know folks are super busy, but the newsletter contains a lot of really important information about different things happening at Wedgwood in the community. So please make sure that you take the time to read it if you're able, so that you don't miss any of the great things happening. If you are not currently receiving the newsletter, let us know. You can email us and we can add you to the list so that you can start receiving the newsletter every week. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have any more announcements?
I would like for LeDayne to share about the art for the Thanksgiving service that she's on with us today.
Glad to. So one of the things that McMahon does every year is that Tuesday before Thanksgiving, we have a community-wide interfaith Thanksgiving service. This year we're going to be virtual again. And as the committee was talking about how to make that a really energetic service, we landed on the theme, the art of healing and the heart of gratitude. I think I got that right. But we're reaching out to all our houses of faith and asking folks to share any kind of art. So it could be, you know, visual art, meaning that you would send us a picture of something you've done. And it could be a song, instrumental or sung. It could be a poem. It could be a spoken word. It could be dance. So we're, from now until October 8th, we're selecting pieces, we're collecting pieces, and then we have no idea how many we get. So we don't know, like, will we be able to use everything we get? Maybe, you know, we might have to choose, but in any case, if you are an artist of any type and would like to be a part of the service, we welcome you to submit something. And this includes children and youth. We'd love to have some pieces from younger people. So if that's at all interesting to you, just let me know. I'll put my email in the chat. And we really do want it to be like any kind of art. So if you think it goes along with the themes of healing and gratitude, we would love to consider it. So thanks for giving me a chance to tell you.
And more information about that, we put it in our newsletter last week. So if anybody has any questions, check out the newsletter. We put the link in the poster and everything, because we would love to get some Wedgwoodians to participate. Yeah. All right, so next up we have our prelude.
Our wisdom reading this morning comes from Dreaming the Dark by Starhawk. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned. We can only catch glimpses of that place from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with great passion, and we don't have to worry about the words catching in our throats. Somewhere there is a circle of hands that will open to receive us. Eyes will light up when we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength. It joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing. A circle of friends, some place where we can all be ourselves and be free. Community. And now our extravagant welcome, Connie and Jackie.
Good morning. We are all welcome here.
Welcome to a church that works for peace, justice, equality, and the care of Mother Earth.
Extravagant welcome to you because of your gender identification, sexual orientation, ethnicity, economic situation, physical and mental challenges, doubting or believing, being depressed or full of joy.
We are a community of curious and creative spiritual seekers, striving to learn and embody the way of Jesus and other spiritual leaders.
Like Jesus, we focus on the plungent and the marginalized as we try to address the major issues of our day.
One of the ways we seek to heal the world and ourselves is through sharing parts of our personal story.
We
are
all
welcome here.
All together, we
are all
welcome
here.
Like we said, some Sundays it works, some Sundays it doesn't. Thank you very much. And now we move to our moment for all ages. Liz?
Thank you. Yeah. And actually today I want to do things a little bit differently. Instead of folks getting their little ones, I'd like us to have this conversation first, and then you as parents can decide how you have that conversation with your little one. Because, yesterday was a really hard day. It was the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. And, as a kid, I remember feeling very overwhelmed when sad or bad things happened. And it was really hard to talk about. But I was really lucky that my parents always talked to me about it. And Mr. Rogers talked to me about it. And the reason I would like you to, watch this video, I'm going to show a video from Mr. Rogers. I'd like for us all to watch this video together. And then the parents watching, you can decide if you want to show the video and how you want to talk to the young people in your lives about this video. So this was made, a few decades ago, because it is Mr. Rogers, but I think it still really applies. And that's one of the beautiful things about Mr. Rogers, right? Because, and we've been talking this month about community, and I can't think of a more wonderful community than Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. That's been on my mind all week. And in this video, Mr. Rogers is talking to some young people about some things that they have experienced that were maybe not so great, and helping them process through it. So I'd like to just go ahead and share the video. I just wanted to give everybody a preface because it's really wonderful, and sometimes it's best to let Mr. Rogers speak. So I think it's really important to acknowledge, just like Mr. Rogers did with our children, that sometimes life can be hard and it can be scary, but it's really important to acknowledge our feelings. And Mr. Rogers' mom gave such great advice for during things that are hard, is looking for the helpers. On September 11th, there were so many helpers. On July 6th, there were so many helpers. There's a lot of scary things that happen in the world, but there's also a lot of helpers. And in the spirit of community, I think it's so important to remember that. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful lesson for today for all of us. And now we go to our time of meditation, prayer, reflection. Because we have so many different beliefs at Wedgwood, this time is used however you choose to use it. If you believe in prayer, it is a prayer time, meditation time, a time to reflect on yourself, time just to close your eyes in the silence and relax. But first, we want to share our concerns and our celebrations. So anyone that has a concern this morning or a celebration, I want to bring up Travis Friot. He asked this week that we keep him in prayers for this coming week. He didn't give any specifics, but just asked for prayer.
LeDayne, did you have your hand raised?
I do. So I have my older brother lives in Rock Hill, and he's been having just a whole series of health problems. And a couple of weeks ago, they had to amputate his leg below the knee. And I and that's scary enough, but he's also like experiencing some similar problems with his hands. So he's really terrified. And they really can't figure out what's going on. So his name is Dean and his wife is Barbara. So if you would remember them for their emotional health as they go through this, and also for the doctors to be able to figure out what's really going on.
Yeah. I have a celebration. My mom was offered a new job. This is something that she has been praying for and speaking into the universe to happen for a long time. And I am just so thrilled for her because I can't think of a more deserving person.
Right.
I have a praise announcement. You know, through Wedgwood, I've had the honor to meet, you know, Travis, as we all have. And since March, you know, I've been volunteering as a minister on call at Queen City Assistant Living. And I just feel very blessed and honored because I've had the calling of being a chaplain on my heart. And the more I learn about it, I just feel like I just keep taking the steps I can get there. But I'm just so grateful because last week, Travis has asked me to partner up with a registered nurse volunteer of his from Atrium. So now I can step into being a hospital minister, and I'm nervous and I'm excited, but I think, I don't know. I think just being around you guys, I just think this is a calling that needs to get answered. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Donna is not with us today, Donna Carter, but today is her birthday. So can we all just give a good cheer and happy birthday to Donna? She'll see this when she listens later. She is able to join us some Sundays and some Sundays not. Happy birthday, Donna.
Happy birthday, Donna.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Donna.
Happy birthday.
We would sing, but you really don't want us to. So. Our gift to you is not singing. So. Any other celebrations or concerns? All right, then we will now invite you to a time of prayer, meditation, contemplation, or just mindful breathing and rest. Take a deep breath, and follow your heart. Amen. And Liz will introduce LeDayne, our speaker for today.
So it is my honor and privilege this morning to introduce the Reverend LeDayne McLeese Polaski, who is the Executive Director of the Mecklenburg Metropolitan Interfaith Ministries, of which Wedgwood is a member. And I have had the privilege of, serving as Wedgwood's representative for the meetings, and I have gotten to know LeDayne over how long it's been. I want to say it just feels like it's been forever, and it's been a real honor and privilege, and I couldn't be more thrilled to introduce our next speaker. So LeDayne, without further ado, we are so excited to hear you speak.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the invitation. It's great to be with you all. And I just love the sweet spirit that you have and that I'm getting to take part in this morning. So thank you so much. And thank you for being a member of McMen. We appreciate your involvement and your support. And so this morning, I just want to kind of give a little bit more impression about what we do. And I'm going to start with a confession, which is that 2 years ago, I knew almost nothing about McMen. Even though it is housed at my church, which is Parkwood Baptist, and it's been there for years. I was on the mailing list. I went to an event every now and then, but I never really got connected enough to really kind of get really what the organization does and the breadth and the depth of it. And the reason for that is that for over 20 years, I worked for the Baptist Peace Fellowship of North America, which, as some of you may know, was housed at Wedgwood for a long time. And as the name implies, that's an international organization. And so my attention was sort of out in a much broader sphere. And it was great work. I loved it. And I really continue to value the relationships and experience and the wisdom that I gained as I worked alongside people literally from all over the world. Somebody mentioned, well, Liz was mentioning in the intro about September the 11th. And I was working for the Peace Fellowship at that point. And what I mostly remember from that day was getting emails from people all over the world. And because in a lot of cases, I was the only American that they knew. And all day long, I just kept getting these beautiful, loving messages from people. And I remember one in particular from, there's a people group, an ethnic group called the Nagas. And they are, you've probably never heard of them. It's a small group. They are in India, but they're a distinct ethnic group. And they've had a very oppressed ethnic group. They've had great difficulties. And I remember them sending us a message, and I remember it started, "We are a small and negligible people," but they assured us of their love and their prayers and their concern. And as awful as that day was, like, that's my memory, is email after email after email from somebody taking the time to let us, all of us, know that they were thinking of us and praying for us and sharing our tears on that awful day. And so that was great. It was great work. I loved it. I loved having those worldwide connections. Still on my birthday, I get, birthday wishes from pretty much every continent, and that's great. But after I'd been there about 18 years, I started to think that I was feeling called to something different. So I worked with the board for a couple of years to do a transition, and I left really not knowing what I was going to do next, and took a summer kind of off. It was my daughter's last year before she went off to college, and I did some part-time work, but just kind of took some time off, but started talking to people, like, people who knew me and who knew the community, and started asking, like, what should I do next? I'm too young to retire, and have tuition payments to make and all of that. And so the group that kept getting mentioned over and over again was McMen. And so it actually went pretty quickly. Once I found out they were looking for an executive director, it was really kind of a matter of weeks before I found myself being the executive director. And so that started on October 1st of 2019. So I am at this point almost 2 years in. As you can imagine, it's been an interesting 2 years for any number of reasons. And I laugh because my daughter used to say that I was in charge of North America. So I've gone from being in charge of North America to being in charge of Mecklenburg County, which is a very different reality. And I also laugh because I went from, when you work someplace for 20 years, like, you get to know the work and the people and the things pretty well. And so I went from like 20 years of experience and most of the time kind of having a pretty good idea of what I was doing, to knowing absolutely nothing. And I joked for the longest time that my answer, like at least once a day, I was getting to say, I don't know, but I'll find out. So for instance, like, I don't know when the annual Thanksgiving service is, but I'll find out. Or I don't know what we award on the Community Leader Awards breakfast, but I'll find out. I don't know when we last had our interfaith youth camp, but I'll find out. So I thought this morning that I would share with you some of the things I've found out in these 2 years. And the first part is kind of a reflection that I recently wrote. And then I'll share a little bit about kind of how we lived that out. So I'm just going to read this. So it's a reflection called What If? What if in our diverse and often divisive society, the children in your school or congregation had a fun way of learning about and experiencing the traditions of others, not from a textbook, but from someone who follows that tradition? What if the teenagers you know had a place to go to talk about their beliefs and their values and even their doubts in ways that would strengthen their own faith and increase their appreciation of others? What if there were spaces where you could experience the holy in a new way? What if there were places where you could comfortably be curious about other people's ways of understanding the world, where your questions would be heard and answered with respect and authenticity? What if when new laws were proposed, you had people you could call to ask, how's this going to impact your community? What if you could stand side by side and serve with someone who doesn't look like you, or talk like you, or worship like you, or pray like you, or even vote like you? What if you had a way to regularly find out about the needs of the larger community and ways to help meet those needs? What if there were a way for you to share the needs of your community with people and groups who care and can support you? What if you could make regular contact with people who are acting right now to make Mecklenburg County a better home for everyone? What if you could show up in support and solidarity when another community is suffering? What if people came together for prayer and found sustenance in the songs and scriptures and traditions of another faith, even while sharing their own? What if the 1/6 of Mecklenburg residents born outside the United States had ways of sharing their gifts and the wisdom that they have to offer? What if you could easily find personable and knowledgeable speakers to help your house of faith deepen understanding of other traditions? What if there were regular opportunities to explore local issues through the lens of faith? What if we could lift up and celebrate those known and unknown who are making our community better for everyone? What if we could come together regularly to recognize the rich and growing religious diversity of our community? What if you had a place to practice the habits of heart and mind to engage in more constructive and empathetic dialogue across differing backgrounds, beliefs, and values? What if there were a place where we could find common ground and learn to live well with one another across the differences that remain? Well, there is. For over 30 years, McMinn has made all this and more possible by offering programs and projects that create both breadth and depth of relationship across lines of difference. We build bridges to allow people across geographical, political, economic, and theological lines to congregate, to be curious about one another, and to connect and to collaborate. And this isn't just a feel-good thing. This is an absolutely necessary commitment in a diverse nation. All the faith traditions that are part of McMinn have some version of the golden rule. You can go on our website and read them all, but I thought I would share just a few. The Baha'i tradition teaches, Lay not on any soul a load that you would not wish to be laid on you. In Islam, we are taught, we created you and made you into peoples and tribes so that you could get to know one another. In Science of Mind, they teach, think of the whole world as your friend, but you must also be a friend of the whole world. And in Sikhism, I am a stranger to no one, and no one is a stranger to me. Indeed, I am a friend to all. Everything that we do at McMinn has one overarching purpose, and that is to meet the neighbors that we're called to love. I often say that if we're going to love each other well, then we have to know each other well. I do have one story that I'll share along those lines. Liz mentioned the Thursday meetings that we've been having since March of 2020. And they are, we come together on Zoom, we invite faith leaders, community leaders, nonprofit leaders to come together and essentially just talk about what's going on in our community, what are the big needs right now. So right now we're working on a faith community eviction prevention funds where we're asking houses of faith and individuals to donate. And that money is going to crisis assistance to help them fill in the gaps for people who are at risk of being evicted. There's estimated 22,000 Mecklenburg County families who are at risk of eviction now that the eviction moratorium has ended. And we're trying to, one, collect some money to help prevent those evictions, but also to share those stories so that the 22,000 has a human face. So that's one example of the kind of work that we're doing together as a collective. But the story about how we really have to know each other well in order to love each other well is actually a story that comes from Refugee Support Services, which is one of the groups that comes to our Thursday meetings pretty often. And they came to us and asked us to collect quarters. And here's why. They were finding that the refugee folks that they live with, that they work with, mostly live in apartment complexes with coin-operated laundry facilities. And you might recall that early in the pandemic, there was a coin shortage. And you'd go to someplace and they'd have a sign that says, we can't take your coins, either give us exact change or pay by credit card. And so all these people were having a hard time washing their clothes because they couldn't, even if they had enough money, they couldn't get quarters to operate these machines. And so they knew the people they were working with well enough to be able to know that need. And because of that, McMinn and others were able to step in and love those people well by collecting quarters. And so lots of our congregations had quarter drives and had some way of inviting people to look in your piggy bank, look in the cushions of your couch and donate quarters. And I just love that story because it's such a great example of how when we really know each other, we can love each other. So I just wanted to mention a few things that we do so that you'll have some idea of how we live that out. And I'll just mention it briefly. And if there are things that you want to ask more about, we can do that in the Q&A after. So I mentioned the Thursday meetings, and those have been great. We originally imagined that when the pandemic was over that the meetings would end, but they've really kind of morphed into something bigger than that. And so right now they're happening every other week. And I imagine those are going to continue to go on because it's such a great way of just kind of coming together and asking ourselves and listening to each other, what are you seeing right now? What can we be responding to right now? And it's great because I see in so many of our congregations have taken up the things that have been shared there and are working on them. And that's great. We've restarted our quarterly service projects. And so right now we're only doing things that are outdoors and not risk-free, but as risk-free as we can make them. September the 25th, we're gonna meet at Galilee Center and help paint their fence, which is something that they've mentioned that they needed. And the cool things about the volunteer projects, it's one, we get to serve the community, but also it's a great way to have conversations with somebody. So the last one we did was a park cleanup, and I ended up working with a man from the Sikh community, and we were, filling up this garbage bag, and we were just chatting, and we ended up having this really great conversation. He was sharing that they were looking for a leader for their community and had met with somebody, and he said it was all going really well, and then we found out that he doesn't believe in the vaccine, and that made us wonder, like, well, what does he think about other things, and how would he feel about LGBTQ? And I actually had no idea what Sikhism teaches about LGBTQ, so I took that as an opportunity to say, so since you brought it up, and he says, well, I interpret the scriptures to be welcoming, but not everybody does. And so we ended up just having this great conversation about Sikh scripture and how he interpreted it and how different people interpret it. And, which wasn't planned, but which was great. We also do those projects for youth. So we have interfaith youth service projects. Youth are welcome to come to the bigger projects as well, but that's another way. And again, we did one back last December where we made holiday packages for folks who are in the YWCA's transitional housing project. And we were able to do it outside. It was a beautiful day in December. And it was just great because, you've got these kids from these different faith traditions gathered around tables. And while they're packing this stuff up, they're having conversations. And, so often we hear for folks who are pretty much anything other than Christian in our community, that it's pretty much a weekly experience for someone to say to them, you're the first Jew I've ever met, or you're the first Muslim I've ever met, or you're the first Sikh I've ever actually had a chance to talk to. And so how great that we have these regular opportunities that people can talk to each other. We do a summer camp for high schoolers. It's called In Our Own Backyard. And we did it this year for the first time since like 2014. And it was really great. We had 16 kids come. They were from Muslim, Christian, Hindu. I think those were the three groups that we had. And then the counselors were Muslim, Christian, and Jewish. And we went and we visited different houses of faith, and we did service projects together, and obviously had a lot of conversation together. It was really just quite wonderful. Just starting relationships and having people get to know one another, and have you like Muslim not be some like epitaph we throw around, but Muslim being, oh, that's my friend Rose, right? That's this person that I know that I've served next to making sandwiches together. We once a year we do an awards breakfast where we honor people for their leadership in the community. It's a great event to lift people up. We have the Thanksgiving service that I mentioned. We have once a month, we have a program called Food for Thought, where we talk about a local issue from a faith perspective. So in August, we did one that was really great. We talked about the new North Carolina social studies standards and how they approach religious diversity, and had one of our board members who's part of the Sikh faith come and talk about what it's been like for him to have 3 kids go through CMS. And then really kind of strategize together, like, what do we all need to do to make sure that every child sees their faith reflected accurately? Because he shared with us that his kids got one sentence about Sikhism and it was wrong. And I don't mean theologically wrong, I mean factually wrong. So he came, Ernest Winston came, Eric Davis came, and we just talked about like, what do the new social studies standards do? And then how do all of us as a community help make that happen, where everybody hears factual information about their own faiths and factual information about other faiths. We have a program called Open Tables, where people come together from several different congregations and have, in a non-COVID world, a potluck. We do hope to get back to that eventually, but have conversations. And that's been really amazing. Like, I remember the one we had right before COVID shut everything down. We had Muslim, Jewish, Mormon participation. And I happened to be sitting at a table that had several Mormon women and one Muslim man. And we were talking about how our traditions recognize grief. And so he just told this incredibly powerful story about the death of his father and how he was the eldest, and there was a particular role that he was sort of expected to play. And he talked about that. And I look over and all the Mormon women are just sobbing, right? Because it's such a powerful story. And I'm thinking, like, this just doesn't happen in like that a Muslim man and Mormon women would get to share this experience. And then it was really neat because he had opened it up, like, they shared some really deep stories as well. And some stories that I think that talked about, you know, family difficulties and family trauma, and in a way that I think probably couldn't have happened if he hadn't sort of opened it up and gone deep. So Open Tables is a great program. And then finally we have we do other things as well, but the last one I'll mention is a faith club, which is an interfaith women's book club. They meet once a month. And so it's great to get to share all this with you. And again, just to say that everything we do is we invite you into to know and to be known, to love and to be loved, and to work together to create a community that lives by the highest values and core virtues of the rich faith traditions that make us up, and that respects the dignity of every person. And we need you, and we think that you need us too. So we hope that you'll continue to plug in. And thanks so much for the opportunity to come and share.
Thank you. Ashanti?
What if all communities realize that love is needed to heal everything? What if? Ooh. Good morning or evening, friend. Here's your friendly announcer. I have serious news to pass on to everybody. What I'm about to say could mean the world's disaster. Could bring your joy and laughter to tears and pain. It's that love in need of today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. Hey, going round, it's a breaking many heart, yeah. Stop it, please. You know it's gone too far, yeah, yeah. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. The force of evil plans can make it your possession, and it will if you let it destroy everybody. We all must take measures. And this will love you pleasure when you hear me when I say, oh, that love is in need of love, of love, love, love today. Don't delay. Send yours in, send yours in, send yours in, send yours in right away. Hate's going around, hate's going around, hate's going around. Oh, and it's breaking so many hearts. We got to stop it now. We got to stop it, people. You know, you know, you know, you know it's gone too far. Love. Oh, you know we need love. So much more love today. You got it. I got to. We got to spread the love. We got to do it right now, people. Come on, let's do it now. Love. We got it. You got it. We gotta give our love. We gotta stop it. You gotta stop it. Or we can stop it. We got the power. Oh, we need love. Yeah, love today.
Wow. As always, thank you, Ashanti. It's worth coming to church just to hear Ashanti sing every Sunday. Thank you. You bless us with that. And we want now to give everyone the opportunity to help support the ministry of Wedgwood Church. Everyone can experience the joy in giving of the gift that we have received. We invite you now to give of your gift to support the ministry of this church.
You thought I was worth saving, so you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for, so you sacrificed your life so I could be free, so I could be whole, so I can tell everyone I know. You thought I was worth saving. You came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping. You cleaned me up. So you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for. You sacrificed your life so I could be free, so I could be whole, and I could tell everyone. You thought I was worth saving. So you came and changed my life. You thought I was worth keeping. You cleaned me up, so you cleaned me up inside. You thought I was to die for. And I love you, grateful. You sacrificed your life so I could be free, so I could be whole.
Thank you. Thank you for your generous gift to Wedgwood. And now Donna will lead us in our closing.
Our closing words come from a Franciscan benediction. May God bless you with this comfort at easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that you may live deep within your heart. May God bless you with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that you may work for justice, freedom, and peace. May God bless you with tears to shed for those who suffer pain, rejection, hunger, and war, so that you may reach out your hand to comfort them and to turn their pain into joy. And may God bless you with enough foolishness to believe that you can make a difference in the world so that you can do what others claim cannot be done to bring justice and kindness to all our children and the poor. So I don't think I'm going to tell you to go in peace today. Go in all your foolishness. Practice resurrection.